Have you ever had a creepy encounter with other folks at a campground/state or national park? Yes. I, 25M, was camping solo at primitive wilderness site along the Linville Gorge Ridge, NC. Late afternoon-ish, a guy, age 30 or so, drove by, stopped, and parked at the entrance to my spot, about 40 feet from my car in sight. It was 20 degrees Fahrenheit. I was the only other person on the ridge of about 15 or so open spots. Thought it was weird, but whatever. He gets out of his car and just stands there, silent, looking the other direction for about 5 straight minutes. Never looked at me or moved. Just staring into the woods opposite of me. I was just casually sitting by my fire watching him like, yo, is this chill or am I about to get murdered? He finally turns around and walks right up to me. We engage in casual quick introductions and I can see he's wanting to stay for a while. He seemed okay, but a little weird, nothing too alarming. After 10 minutes or so of convo he says he's up here from Florida to see some waterfalls, and asks where they are. I tell him the hike to check out and he still hangs out and keeps chatting. He's mostly making sense but occasional nuances in his sentences were throwing me off a little. Then, he starts telling me how much he hates the cops and how he needs to stay away from them. This was pretty weird, and although I was curious I didn't want to know why, and didn't ask. We moved on. To make an already long story a bit shorter, we talked about his interests in random religions, wishing he could stop smoking weed, and then, he brought up the time I lost my mind. That's how he referred to whatever that moment was. And he kept saying how bad it was, how he has regrets, and just consistently would say the words, the time I lost my mind. I was pretty weirded out at this point, a bit scared tbh, and thought it was best to just not ask, and to stay interested in his conversation, to ensure he doesn't start disliking me. He tries to get me to drink and smoke with him, I have to continue to refuse, claiming I stopped a few years ago. It's getting dark. I'm so nervous to ask him to leave but I really want to. I didn't know how he would respond. It was clear he was a bit off. I finally politely ask if he can leave so I can enjoy a solo experience as I was hoping for. He says, sure of course man of course. He walks halfway to car, and says he's super tired, and that he's just going to sleep in his car where it's parked, blocking the entryway to my site. At this point I tell him to please go further down the mountain, I want to be entirely alone out here. He sat in his car for 20 minutes before finally leaving, at about 8 to 9 p.m. or so. That night I was pretty scared trying to fall asleep. He knew I was alone out there, where I was, and that no one was around for at least 30 plus miles. Did this guy have bad intentions? By the end of our convo I had such a weird vibe from this guy. I considered heading home but decided to stay. Thankfully woke up after flinching awake to every small noise I heard outside while trying to sleep. Never saw him again. This was last year, and honestly, it's a bummer because I used to love camping there. I've been 10 plus times, but I'm truthfully pretty nervous to go back. Hopefully we'll plan another trip back out there soon, which I'm sure will be wonderful, and without weirdos.